Welcome back to part 4 of the house that we're wiring in Attleboro, Massachusetts. I'm going to be taking you guys through everything that we did so far today. Right now, I'm going to be focusing on wiring all the multi-gang switch boxes. We got all the wires pulled inside the whole entire home. So now we're going to be cutting everything in. So I went a little more into detail in the YouTube shorts of how I did everything. But basically, this is what I like to do. I like to get everything, inside the stackets. I like to use stackets because you can hold 8 wires underneath the stacket and it just holds things nice and neatly. And then what I like to do is I like to take a tie wrap and basically, just put the tie wrap nice and snug. And the reason for that is it holds all the wires into a nice, straight line. That way it's not, poking outside the studs. Because if you have those wires poking outside the studs, the sheetrockers will actually take the sheetrock and crush them. And they don't care. They'll just, keep putting screws through it and then you'll have no idea what's going on. But now what I like to do is, as you can tell, I fold all my wires over the top of the box. And that way it just gets everything out of the way. I can focus on the grounds first, and then afterwards I'll do the neutrals. But now you're noticing right here, hey, why do I have 2 sets of neutrals? You see one set of neutrals that I have wiring out of there, and then you see another set of neutrals. Well, you guys got to remember, we're doing arc faults, so that means you got to separate the neutrals in order for the arc faults to work. What do I mean by that? There's 2 circuits in this box, so one's going to be a garage circuit, and the other one's going to be, I think I labeled this foyer circuit. So right now you got 2 circuits in that box. You got to make sure you separate those neutrals, or as soon as you turn it on, the breaker's going to read an unbalanced load on the neutral. It's going to trip out immediately. So as you can see, everything is beautifully neat, nice and tie wrapped going all the way down. And that's just the way it should be. So now we're going to jump into the garage 4-gang switch box here. I'm going to show you how I do this one. Same thing. I like to keep those labels, nice and like on the outside. That way, if someone's walking by or the builder's walking by, or even let's say the wire inspector, he can just look at it, see this is the switch layout and everything. Not that he might not care, at least the wire inspector, but it just shows good quality craftsmanship. And when they see something like this, they automatically know that you know what you're doing, you take pride in your work, and they don't have to go nitpick and, walk around the whole entire house and look for everything. It just shows good craftsmanship. And this is the way we like to do everything. Just do it right the first time, make everything beautifully neat, and, it just, in the end, you get what you pay for. So now I got all of that done. As you can tell, this one was a little bit longer, so we used a lot more stackets on that one. And now this is going to be the SER. This is going to be for the actual wall oven here. We're going to have a wall oven in that kitchen area. And then you're noticing I got a number 4 ground there. You might be saying to yourself, hey, why'd you run a number 4 ground? What's that for? Well, basically, there is an issue in this home that on the right side of the foundation where the service is going, there is an 8 kV underground utility pipe that feeds a transformer. So if any of you guys don't know, that's 8,000 volts. So the issue we're having is that we have to drive the ground rods all the way on the back side of the house because we cannot take any risk going near that 8 kV pipe. So basically what we're doing is we're going to run a number 4 ground because we don't know if there's going to be a copper water service or a PEX water service. And what I mean by that is in some local jurisdictions in Massachusetts, the plumbers will actually stub out with like, a 10-foot stick of copper, and then he'll go all the way, PEX all the way. Some guys just like to go copper all the way, and then we have to bond that as a grounding electrode. So, we really don't know. And when you are bonding a water service for 200 amp, you do need a number 4 ground. So that's why we have the number 4 ground ready to go, and we can always burn D off of that. We're going to run number 6 ground for our ground rods, which is required by code there. So we're just covered in every single direction just in case, we don't know what's going to happen, but we always prepare for the worst. And that way it just saves time and, everybody is, everything's planned out. But now I'm taking you for a whole entire tour here of everything that we have cut in. As you can see, I'm in the bathroom right now. Same thing, you guys get the idea. And also sometimes you're seeing that I drive that blue staple in there with a tie wrap. I just do that so the wires stay more secure to the stud. On a 2x6 wall, it's not that big of a deal. But once you get to like a 2x4 wall, when you only have, 3.5 inches to keep inside that bay, I like to just pound that staple in there and add a tie wrap. Now we're going to go upstairs to the 2nd floor. I'm going to show you everything that we have all cut in here. All the plugs are done. All the recessed lighting is done. And that's what we like to do with the recessed lighting. We bang a staple in there. We tie wrap the wires together or tape them, whatever. It depends on who's cutting it in. And then we just, in the rough, you can just tuck it up there, and then once we get to the finish, all you got to do is unplug that staple there and then pull the wires down and you're good to go. So that's the other bathroom right there. And now we're going to jump into the closets and go down this hallway here. I had a lot of questions on, hey, you guys got a lot of smoke detectors in here. Well, yeah, we need them because they added doors and they added headers. So now this fire alarm is actually going to change. So we need to be covered for all of that. Also, you're going to notice we got 2 smoke detectors in the hallways. And a lot of guys ask me, why do you have 2 smoke detectors in the hallways? Well, because the bedrooms are more than 10 feet, so I got to have smoke detectors to cover all the bedrooms in the hallways there. That's a code requirement, NFPA. So we got 14 threes ran to all the fans. I covered that in the last video. That way they can have the fan and the light switch separately. And now that we got the sub panel in over here, I covered that very briefly on the YouTube shorts. A lot of guys ask me, hey, why'd you go so crazy with the nail plates? Well, I don't like to take any chances when, you have any sort of drywall screws going near an actual panel. The reason for that is I've just seen it where, the drywall is, for some reason, they'll use a longer screw, it'll go into the wire, and then you have no idea where the wire is broken. So I'll nail plate the whole entire top of that 2x4. I'll nail plate everything going all the way up. I don't care if it's too many nail plates. Doesn't matter. I don't want any screws in the wires. This was that Trafford seal in here with all those recessed lights. I'm really excited to actually see what that looks like on the finish. I think this ceiling's going to look beautiful there. I wish they would have did the other ceilings like that too, because I just really like the design of that. I would have actually liked to put them around the outside as well, more recessed lighting there, but they wanted them on the inside, but I guess it's all preference. And now I'm going to explain to you guys that I'm going over to this corner here, and I want to make this very clear. We're going to have a 3/4 inch EMT sleeve going all the way from the attic into the main panel. Why is that? Well, that's the new solar requirement. You have to have a 3/4 inch sleeve, and it's got to be EMT in our jurisdiction. The inspectors will not allow Smurf tubing. I had some questions about that. They will not allow PVC. They want everything to be in 3/4 inch EMT. So that's what we're going to be putting in. And, you don't have to run any wires in it. Basically, it's just a spare raceway that's going to go from the attic into the main panel, and that way, once they do decide to run solar, or if they don't decide to run solar, it's there, they can use it, and that's basically the end of it. Right there, you're seeing that massive piece of AZAC. I'm going to be mounting that somewhere on that side of the foundation. I got to wait for the Generac transfer switch. I don't think I told you guys about that. We are going to be installing a Generac automatic transfer switch, and I got to figure out, where the KO is so I can line that up inside the bay. So that's the only reason why I didn't put that piece of AZAC up yet, but I will be doing a video on that. Right here, that's that wall I built. There is another 100 amp sub panel right there that's going to feed all our HVAC equipment. And there is that number 4 ground, and that's going to go to those 2 ground rods out there, and then we can burn the off of it for the water service like I explained before. But this is the whole basement area. I also had guys asking me, where are the plugs against that wall near the fireplace? Well, like I said, it's going to be a built-in. So a lot of you didn't actually believe me. But right there, there's 12-2 in a little loop. I'm showing you there's one there, and then there's a second one right there. That's the 2 plugs for there, so don't worry, I have that all covered. But basically, we're almost completely done with the rough inspection on this house. We got a little bit more things to do, such as that main panel and the service outside, and a couple outdoor plugs that need to be finished up. But if you're in the Massachusetts area and you're looking for a high-quality electrician, give us a call. We are taking new clients, and we personally answer every single phone call, and we would be happy to help you out.